Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sophie and I'm currently a fourth year student in my last year of my undergraduate music studies. So I study violin performance at the Peabody Institute of Johns Hopkins University. I can't believe I've been on this channel for about 4 years now, and if you've been here from the start, thank you so much. It's been quite the journey from the girl who started her day in the life videos in my dorm, and now I'm on the road to graduating in a couple of months. Thank you so much for being on my journey thus far, and it's only just beginning. I don't typically like to share my plans before I enact them, but I'm doing this kind of as a step of faith. So as you probably know by the title of this video, I decided between my junior and senior year summer that I will be taking a gap year after I graduate instead of going into my master's for music. This decision was not an easy one to make, because typically in music school, one's senior year at conservatory means lots of applications and auditions. This is to prepare for a master's degree or just another type of music degree, perhaps an artist diploma or something, just to further your musical journey. I would say a good majority of people decide after their undergrad music degree to pursue further studies in their music. I've been going back and forth on this decision for many months, years. After lots and lots of prayer, I finally came up with this decision that I have now that I believe is best for the next steps of my musical journey. Because I'd say this is a pretty atypical path for a classical musician, I want to be transparent about this decision and bring you guys along for why I decided and what's going to happen next. So before I go further into why I'm taking a gap year and what I hope happens, I want to explain where my head was at when I was making this decision. So the classical world, it felt kind of limited for me. I'm not a top 1% violinist. I don't think I have the desire to break the bounds of technique. And I was getting tired. I was getting really tired of comparison, anxiety, stress, competition, fear, and perfectionism. And it was really hard for me to realize that these are not from God. They couldn't be. And I do believe that God has a good will for my life, but these things that I kept on experiencing in the music world, they led me to believe that music and my beliefs in God were in conflict, or what God's will for me were in conflict. It's not that way, and I'll explain, but that's where my head was at. I felt stuck and trapped by the industry's way of doing music, and I was very tired of my cycle of never feeling good enough, and I didn't feel convicted enough at times to combat that feeling. I just thought I was lazy, not hardworking enough, not confident enough, and there were some things I didn't really resonate with in this current music industry. One of them is hustle culture. The fact that you always have to be busy practicing or having opportunities and auditions coming up. You're supposed to always be busy. Art is supposed to be introspective and inspire you to slow down. How are we supposed to practice slowly, introspectively, if our hearts are not calm? And then the other one is just this constant belief that you're just not working hard enough, you're not doing enough, you don't want it badly enough. This might be the case at times, but it can feel pretty discouraging to always have that in the back of your mind. It was hard for me to realize that music isn't meant to prove or show off. It's meant to worship and heal, to serve and to love others with. So now let's go into the reasons why I decided to take a gap year. The first one being, I want to see what other options exist. When you ask mentors or successful people in the music realm, they often say that you have pretty much two choices. You get to perform or you can teach, which makes sense, right? So within performing, you have options like gigging around, which is where you play for events, ceremonies, weddings, things like that. Or you can do chamber music, play in orchestras, play solo, which are all difficult and beautiful in their own ways. And then there's teaching, which I really believe that teaching shouldn't be something that's just a backup option, but it should be taken very seriously as well. I wasn't necessarily satisfied with these options presented simply because it's often presented as if these are the only options. At least these are the only financially viable options. And while I do love these options and absolutely do see them in my life throughout, I'm just so curious as to what else is out there. Where else can music fit in the world beyond just musical settings? What else can music bring to others in non-traditional settings? A second big reason is that I didn't want to invest more time and money into something I wasn't 100% sure of. I wasn't really sure of my goal or path, and to my understanding, another degree is more so that you have higher chances of better job opportunities because you're going to be a better player, right? So that's probably higher level playing, like chamber, orchestra, solo, and teaching. But I felt like I wouldn't fully appreciate my next degree or learn as much if I wasn't fully convicted in what I was doing, especially if I got it just to be safe or appease others or kind of just do what everyone else was doing and keep going. I didn't see the traditional route as my path at the time of the decision. I didn't feel like this was something needed to be rushed into. And now another reason I mentioned earlier is that I really want to discover what is God's way of doing music that can be filled with beauty, with joy, not just the current society's way or the ways that I had been experiencing it that I struggled with. And I believe every musician will struggle with that, but I felt like it was getting to an unhealthy extent for me. And so discovering what I believe to be God's way of doing music takes time. The time it takes doesn't fit into the fast-paced nature of school, and it needs to be approached with a calm heart. And a personal reason is that I'm getting married this summer. I'm getting married after graduation, so I want to make sure that I have time to spend the first year of marriage together, and if we were worrying about school and maybe we were in different schools or something, then we'd have to be apart. It just didn't really make sense to do. Now, these reasons don't mean I'm never planning to get a master's degree, nor am I against getting one. In fact, I'm very open to it one day. I just want to take some time and discover some things first. I want to make sure I'm going for the right reasons with the right attitude. So if I'm not going to get a master's right after school, what do I plan to do instead? Well, the first thing is actually getting to see what God's way of music is. I mentioned that that's something I'm interested in, but this year will allow me to actually step into what that means. I want to actually go out there and see what else music can do. If I'm curious about it in non-traditional settings, I want to push myself to bring music to places it might not be commonly imagined or that I had not leaned into myself before. This might mean, at least what I can think of right now, maybe playing for refugees or jails or homeless shelters, churches, hospitals, schools, wherever there's a need, bring the gift of music. I also want to be able to touch people's hearts with music. What does it mean to play music from your spirit or from your soul? And I want to dive deeper into the reason that God gave me the gift of music. What is it actually for? A second big hope that I have is, I have this question. What does it mean to be good but not good enough? The reality is that there's so many musicians out there like myself. Actually, I would argue a good majority of musicians out there who are good but not good enough. Something you learn when you go through some years of schooling is just being good isn't always enough. And also, just being good is a huge demand in itself. So let's say this. What's out there for people who are good but not good enough yet? Yet could be the time between school and winning a job or audition. Yet could mean you just started music later in your life and you're just not there yet to where you want to be. Because it takes time and there's no getting around that. It's very rare to have a job lined up right out of college. Auditions can be like looking for a needle in the ocean. So what options exist for people out there like me? Is it really only subbing an orchestra, playing events and gigs, and teaching as a backup if these aren't what the person found fulfilling in the first place? I'm only speaking to people who feel like they're on a similar boat. If you're fully passionate about the things I listed, amazing. I wish I was there, but I'm not there, maybe yet, maybe ever. Finally, I have this heart to film, document, and share what this journey is like. I hope to grow this channel and bless others through it. I have this idea to share the process of what it's like to be a musician who's good, but not good enough yet, and what it's like for people in similar situations. While all this sounds like a pretty great idea, there are areas that require a huge leap of faith to be able to do this. I'm curious where this unconventional year will take me. So at the time of this decision and of filming this video, I have no idea where we are going to live next year yet. Like, not just that we can't find an apartment, we don't even have a city yet. It's about 3 months till graduation. Being fully transparent, Ashton and I do not have a source of income right now, but I trust that God will provide serving or job opportunities as we will be fully reliant on Him. Another concern I had was that what if I get undisciplined or lazy throughout this year? I was worried that I would get complacent in not just my violin, but also in my faith. When something isn't pushing you forward, like school or a job or something exactly, I feel like it might be easy to be complacent and lose my why as the year goes on. Another big concern and why a gap year isn't usually recommended is that you'll lose your technique and your momentum. You could decline greatly in your violin skill and technique, which could lead to less options of grad schools or jobs in the future. These are a lot of concerns, but for me, I'm trusting that if being a solid violinist is God's calling for me, then He will provide what it takes, whether it's strength, discipline, a teacher, whatever it takes for me to get there. And this is the faith aspect here. And finally, I hope to have the courage to share this story, this journey with my peers, my mentors, and my fellow subscribers like you guys. Staying consistent in this journey. I know it won't be easy. I hope to be able to share and document this process or this journey because A, I think it'll be really interesting. I have no idea what's gonna happen. B, I hope that it can help or inspire people in similar situations as I am. Thank you for listening to my very detailed explanation of why I'm taking a gap year and what I hope to do during it. If you're establishing a music career, let me know what your journey was like in the comments. I'm so curious to know. I hope you have a blessed day and that this video helped you in some kind of way. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.